Okay, so these are the blocks that we're going to be making to put around the center of my table runner. Wonky 9 patch, confetti, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to start with 8-inch squares. You can do any size you want depending on your final size of your block. And then I have, and they're not all, they're roughly 8-inch squares. I got a couple that are a little bit larger, but I've just stacked them on top of each other. This is cut from my bunting panel. And they pretty much are stacked on top of each other. So cutting, while you haven't sewn anything, is going to be pretty easy. You're going to start on the left-hand side. You want to go in about 2 inches, 2.5 inches, and angle your ruler. Okay, don't get it right in the center. And then you're going to cut. Nice sharp blade, and voila. Then you're going to work with the left-hand side of your pile. You're going to take that top block, move it to the bottom, and then you're ready to sew these together. So all of the pieces that you're sewing should not match each other. Okay, so I have chain pieced all those pieces together. This is my beginning and my leader. This is my end, so I'm going to take them and iron them with the press the seam open. I'm going to start at the end, so as I stack them up, they'll all stay in order. Okay, so I've finished pressing these, and as you'll notice on the back, everything's pressed open. That's just to make cutting a little bit easier. Now we're going to make our next cut, which is going to be from the bottom right-hand corner towards the top. Once again, we want to be in, you know, maybe about 2 inches. And then I'm going to cut. Okay, but I'm going to rotate my mat so it's easier for me in filming. So I'm just about 2 inches, and I'm going to cut through all of those, hopefully. Oh, and we did it. Okay. Then once again, we're going to take our top one and we're going to move it to the bottom of our left-hand stack, and then we can start sewing our next one together. So that means everything should have a different fabric. When I pull up the next one, no three will be alike. Okay, and it's no big deal if you get one that's alike, but if you pull from that left-hand side, you won't have that problem. Okay, so now we have the second seam sewn from our second cut. I've got everything pressed open. Remember, this stuff is not perfect. That's the whole point of it, so we're not going to stress. So now we have to do our cuts that are going to go across in this direction. And the same thing, we're going to use the edge of our fabric. We're going to angle that ruler. And then we're going to make our cut. However, our stack is getting really thick at this point. So I'm going to separate and cut about 3. And this is with me making the pressing the seams flat. If you were to press them to one side, it does get really thick. So I'm just going to take apart and have 3 stacks to work on. It'll be a lot easier to cut. Okay, so we're going to put this here, get my ruler, remember, from the bottom left, and then we're going to angle our ruler and make our cut. Just like that. Okay? So we got everything cut. Okay, I'm just going to flip these like this. So when I cut the next set, I'm going to do the same and just keep adding them on the top. So here's my next set. Ruler, angle in. And I'm going to make my cut. I'm going to flip them upside down just like that, add them to my pile, and my last set. Okay, there's about 4 here, and they don't have to be perfect. Angle my ruler in, and we're going to make our cut. They're separated, flip them up, and then I'm going to set my stacks like this, And then I'm going to take away 1, and I'm going to take away 2, and I'm going to take away 3. So 3 down, and I'm going to put it at the bottom of my pile. And now I have all different, if you get one that's there, you can just pull another one. But 3 seems to be the magic number that works on this second cut on this side. Okay, so we're on our last cut. Everything's pressed open. Once again, I'm gonna separate my pile because it's way too much to cut through. I tried that earlier. So we're gonna lay that there. I'm gonna use my ruler, and I wanna be in about 2 inches from that edge or so, and at an angle. Okay, and then I'm gonna cut. Oops. There we go. And then I'm just gonna flip my piles over so I can add to them as I cut the rest. So we're gonna pull some more of that stack over. Angle my ruler. Flip them over. Add them to my piles, and my last step. Okay, last stack. Remember, about 2 inches, 2.5 inches, and angle that. And I'm going to cut the last group. And I'm going to flip them over. Oh, of course, we had one that didn't cut. There. Flip them over and add them to my piles. And now we're ready to go to the sewing machine to sew. After remember I have to switch. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and I think I've got everything different on this one, so we're good to go. Okay, so our last step is to take all of our newly formed blocks. So you can see you have a lot. They're all very random, which is what you want. There's no worrying about matching anything. And then I'm going to cut them into 5.5 inches square for the long sides of my table runner, and then 6.25 by 5.5 for the sides of my table runner.